When you think about the history of engineering, what we humans have managed to pull off is just wow. We've literally walked on the moon, we've built skyscrapers so tall they touch the clouds, and we've dug tunnels under the ocean to connect entire continents. But there's this one ancient achievement that, even today, still kind of stumps the world's best engineers, the Great Pyramid of Giza. A 4,500-year-old masterpiece that just defies belief.
There's this fantastic quote by the famous archaeologist Zahi Hawass that just nails it. The pyramids weren't just some construction project. No, they were the project that defined a civilization. The amount of organization, the resources, the shared belief it took to raise them from the desert floor, that process literally built the nation of ancient Egypt.
So that leads us to the big question, right? With all our modern tech, all our incredible machines, could we build a perfect replica of the Great Pyramid today? Well, the simple answer is no. And the reason isn't what you think. It's not about money or technology. It's about purpose. We just don't have that deep, unifying religious drive that the ancient Egyptians had.
But let's play a game. Let's just pretend that we did have a reason. What if we were tasked with creating a modern version, just as strong, just as precise, built to last another 4,500 years? What would that actually involve? So let's dive in and figure out what it would really take, and of course, what it would cost.
Okay, so every massive project starts from the ground up. And for this one, the ground itself is our first huge hurdle. We need to find and prepare a piece of land that can handle a weight that is almost impossible to imagine.
To really get a sense of the scale here, just listen to this. The Great Pyramid weighs 6 million tons. That's like stacking 6 million cars on top of each other. Now compare that to the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. That's only 500,000 tons, just a fraction of the pyramid's weight. So you can see why a weak foundation just isn't an option. It would be an absolute catastrophe.
First off, we'd need to buy 13 acres of super stable land. Let's say we get it right there on the Giza Plateau. That'll be about $120 million. Thank you very much. Then we'd spend another $50 million on deep seismic scans and laser leveling to get a perfectly flat base. Because even a tiny mistake at the bottom would mean a huge lean at the top. And unlike the ancients, who trusted the bedrock, we'd have to pour a 4-meter-thick slab of reinforced concrete, a $400 million insurance policy.
And just like that, we've already burned through over $500 million. Think about that for a second. We're at ground zero, and we haven't even touched a single stone yet. This is just for the prep work.
All right, on to phase 2, the materials. We need to find, cut, and prep 2.3 million stone blocks, and most of these aren't pebbles. They're the size of a large SUV. This is where the logistics start to get, well, insane.
So here's the problem. If we used a standard, modern stone factory, one that can pump out about 100 big blocks a day, it would take us 63 years just to cut the stones. Yeah, 63. But our timeline for this whole project, just 5 years. So that's not going to work. To hit that crazy deadline, we'd have to build a quarrying operation like nothing the world has ever seen, right there on site. We're talking 250 industrial-strength diamond wire saws, all running at the same time. This monster setup would need its own 20-megawatt power source just to keep the saw spinning, allowing us to churn out an unbelievable 1,260 blocks every single day. So what's the bill for all that? Well, the saws alone would be $65 million. The raw stone, a mind-blowing $1.3 billion. Let me put that in perspective for you. The cost of our rocks alone is almost the entire construction budget of the Burj Khalifa. And on top of that, tack on a $155 million electric bill for 5 years of non-stop cutting. Okay, but once the stones are cut, how do we actually get them to the construction site? We've got millions of tons of rock, some of it from quarries 900 kilometers away. Now we have to haul all of it across the country. This would be, without a doubt, the single largest transport mission in history.
So we have to move 6 million tons of stone,
With some of it coming from as far as 900 kilometers away.
which is going to require a non-stop moving convoy of 500 heavy-duty trucks working 24/7 for 5 straight years.
And the price tag for this massive logistical operation? A cool $200 million. And that's before you even start thinking about things like road taxes. So let's just pause for a second and check the running total. We are now way past the $2 billion mark. Our land is prepped, our stones are showing up, but we have not placed a single block on top of another. The actual build hasn't even begun. And now for the main event. How do we actually build this thing? We've got to stack these giant stones with millimeter-perfect accuracy all the way up to 147 meters high. And some of these blocks, like the granite ones in the King's Chamber, weigh up to 80 tons. How in the world do you lift something that heavy, that high?
Well, the short answer is no single crane on Earth can do it. The solution would have to be a custom-built web of the world's biggest tower cranes, which would have to be taken apart and put back together over and over as the pyramid gets taller. Just renting and running that crane network would set us back $300 million. We'd also need a crew of 3,000 skilled workers. Their paychecks would add up to about $400 million. And oh, you want that original gleaming white look? Well, the Tour limestone casing for that will be another $250 million. And so, after 5 years of just monumental, back-breaking work, our modern Great Pyramid is finally finished. It's time to add it all up and get the final bill for this incredible project.
The grand total comes to $2.95 billion, nearly $3 billion. And you have to remember, this is a low-ball estimate. It doesn't include massive hidden costs like taxes, transport duties, or the budget to build a whole new power plant just to run the quarry.
So, to put that number into perspective, let's see what else you could buy with that kind of cash today. For the same price as our pyramid, you could build SoFi Stadium, the most expensive sports arena on the planet. Or you could build the Palm Jumeirah, an entire artificial island in Dubai.
So what's the final verdict? Building the Great Pyramid today is, yeah, theoretically possible, but it's just completely impractical and financially out of reach. In our world, there's just no good reason to sink $3 billion into something with zero real-world return. And honestly, that just makes what they did all those years ago even more incredible.
Which leaves us with one last truly mind-boggling question. If this is what it would take for us, with all our computers, our power tools, our giant machines, how in the world did they manage to do it with such stunning precision 4,500 years ago? That, right there, is the ultimate mystery.